I never talked about. Pero mírame ahora, shining anyway. God help me when I felt alone, and now my heart beats louder, brighter, ready to claim everything He promised. No more hiding who I am, no more dimming this glow. He turned my scars into stories, and my stories into fuego. I'm crowned by faith, look at me shining bright. He healed my corazón and helped me win this long fight. I rise con faith, with joy in my veins, dancing out the darkness like it never had my name. Crowned by faith, that's who I am. Crowned by faith, this is my comeback dance.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Lyrics. I'm getting some lotion on my hands. It is cold here. We've had our winter storm come through. I got my warm sweater on, but got to keep those hands nice and soft. So, all right, if you are there, say hello. There is somewhat of a little bit of a disclaimer kind of warning on the description for tonight's episode. If you are new to Behind the Lyrics, or to me, or Crowned by Faith, I will give you just a quick little rundown. Crowned by Faith is the book that I wrote and that was published the end of 2025. It released around October, November of 2025, and there's a soundtrack that goes with each chapter. And the whole purpose of this book is to give you real life experiences and examples, but to actually help you look at them through the lens of God's love. And what that means is we have all been through excruciating moments in our lives. We have all been through moments that dropped us to our knees. Hello, Christina. Thank you for being here tonight. We have all been in those moments that broke our hearts, let us feel lost, asking God why, like we all have, right? But sometimes we fail to look at the gift in those experiences because they were so painful. And God just happened to choose me to be the type of person that actually loves to look at pain, because there is tremendous power hidden in your pain. And more often, we like to push that pain. We like to brush things under the rug. We like to just move on from them. We like to put them behind us. And it's all good to do those things, as long as you have actually used the experience to serve you best. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They don't take the time to learn how to transform a painful experience into a blessing. All right. And so the whole premise of this book is to help you do that. So as we have been here week by week by week, hello, Gina, my sister. Thank you for being able to tune in. So as we have tuned in week by week by week, this chapter that we are going to be covering tonight is actually chapter 8. And the chapter is titled A Text from Hell. Yes, A Text from Hell. And the song that is going to go with it is called Whispers in the Dark. And as you listen to the soundtrack, say you didn't know me, say you didn't know this book existed. There are people that are downloading the soundtrack off of Spotify. They don't know me. They don't know the book story. But if you listen to the soundtrack from beginning to end, you will feel the emotional dip. You will feel the darkness. You will feel the change of genre of music, the dark lyrics, the eerie, even kind of eerie sound to it, because that's how I was feeling at the time. So I actually take you on this emotional journey. And tonight we are going to be covering A Text from Hell. the song Whispers in the Dark. And I will just let you know, we will be talking about emotional abuse. We will be talking about narcissistic disorder. There's a difference between narcissistic disorder and just narcissistic traits. All of us have narcissistic traits and characteristics. Every single person does. However, those that actually suffer from narcissistic disorder, it's a whole different ballgame. And it's a whole different level of emotional abuse. And that was a time in my life. And I don't share these experiences to bash anyone. I don't share these experiences because I'm stuck in the past. I share these because God has brought me through it. And it's a conversation that needs to be opened up. Because the more that we keep it hidden and the more that we keep it quiet, the more people are going to sit in their suffering. And we need to make the conversation okay. We need to bring it to the light. We need to not hide ourselves under the blanket of shame that that type of abuse covers us in. And I don't know why God chose me, but he did. And so I'm here. So at any time, if the conversation gets a little too heavy and you don't want to listen, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Tune away, turn it off. However, this show does get loaded up onto Roku. We edit it for actual show purposes. It airs on Prospera TV Network, which is on Roku. We are in 17 countries, and Roku happens to be the #1 TV streaming platform in North America. So I'm very honored to be able to say that I own a network. I'm president of a network that is global. And so we're just repurposing this. All right. Hey, Tish. Hi, Queen. And Christina says freezing. Yep. Everyone's freezing everywhere. That's why I got my warm sweater on tonight. So what I'm going to do tonight, guys, like I said, this song, if you missed last week was a very dark subject matter and the song was very dark. However, it was dark because it was about me and my sister losing our dad and that screaming inside that you go through. This transition into today's chapter is a dark song as well. But because at the time that my dad passed away, I took a message as a gift from God. I thought it was a blessing. But let me tell you something. Evil has his perfect timing as well. And the other side knew exactly when to strike. And that's because I see everything as I'm optimistic, I'm hopeful, I'm positive. I like to find the blessing and the gift in everything. That's how I received it, even though my gut, listen to this, even though my gut felt something was off, I chose to ignore that. And I answered a text from hell. And so today's chapter, we're going to get into that part of the story. And then we're going to be able to talk about the lessons that we learned through it. So I'm going to play a bit of the song first, just so that you get an essence of the vibe that we're going to be covering tonight. It's going to be dark. It's going to be heavy. And I encourage questions. I encourage comments. Maybe you have a girlfriend or a sister that you know is going through something like this. Maybe your own daughter, you know, is in a relationship that you can see the toxicity from the outside, but they can't see it on the inside. Maybe we'll discover something tonight that will help. I know that having these conversations, when I come out here and talk about this, people have messaged me and said, you help me understand where my daughter is. She's in college and she's in this relationship that is like changing her whole, personality. And it's been great to be able to know that by me just coming out here and saying it, whether I take the backlash or not, is helping someone. So hopefully tonight we can open up some conversation and see where it goes. But we're going to actually start with a bit of the song. So here we go.
In shadows deep, she sits alone, a graveyard hush where silence grows. Her father's voice, a whispering breeze. She clings to memories, trying to ease a young girl's wish. A flame long burned, but as the casket closed, her heart churned. A text arrives like a light through the gloom. I'm here for you, let love resume.
All right, so you can feel where we're going tonight, okay? So let me get this set of where we are. When I thought what I thought was comfort became a cage, but God never stopped watching. Okay, so through all of this, always keep in mind, no matter what your faith is, if you do believe in your God, He is always there. No matter what, He never stops being at your side. We're the ones that lose sight sometimes, but He is always there. So I think it's a sign from God. In the darkest night of grief, my phone lights up and His name is there. My childhood crush, my friend's older brother, the one from the hilltop party I once told no. That's another chapter. You go back and watch that one. I'm in the back seat of my dad's silver GMC at his service, an orange BlackBerry in my hand. I thumb the little ball scroller and the text opens. The back of my dad's cab smells like leather and dust. A few of my dad's work tools still rattle beside me. Outside, the world keeps moving. Remember, we're at his funeral service. Everybody's outside doing their thing. I'm in the back of the truck just sitting by myself. Inside, that message feels like oxygen to a drowning soul. Here's the thing about the enemy. He knows timing too. Evil waits for the heart to be tender, defenses down, then knocks. That text isn't from heaven. It's the beginning of hell. And so the one question that I have gotten asked more times than I can count, and I'm glad that people are able to ask it, is because they know how the story unfolds, they know how it ends. So they've been able to come and ask, how did you get involved with someone so cruel? How did you allow yourself to become in a relationship with somebody that was narcissistic and extremely emotional abusive? You know, you're smart, you're independent, you're strong, you're beautiful, you know, you had a business. Like, how does somebody do that? And I loved that question because it allowed me to actually look for the reason, not just be angry at it, not just point the finger and put blame, but actually try to understand how did that happen? And it was this very moment, the very moment where my heart is broken. I'm that 8-year-old little girl whose dad left all over again, only this time there was no way he was coming back. There was no way I would ever hear his voice. There was no conversation that would ever be had between us. He died. He was gone. And I felt left and abandoned all over again. And the moment a text message came through and I'm sitting in that truck by myself, I felt like, wow, someone actually saw me. He must care about me because he sees me and he wants to know how I'm doing. And the thing is, that was the beginning of his payback. That was the beginning of his revenge, of his getting me back for the rejection that I brought on him years earlier. I just didn't know it. And so that's how Defenses are down, you're weak, you're emotionally drained, my heart was aching. That's how. You just don't have the strength in you to want to fight. You don't have the strength in you to want to try to do the right thing. You just don't. So as we begin this, he says he understands. He lost his dad too. He says he wants to be there for me. I believe him. He's on a hunting trip and thought of me. It makes me feel chosen. Grief will make you believe almost anything that looks like comfort. So we send texting, or we start texting like lifelines. He asks about my life, my boys, the divorce. For once, someone seems interested in me, not what I can fix or carry for them. I answer everything, not noticing my openness becoming a hook. The red flags are already waving. Grief paints them pink. So what I meant by that is I already could feel and I could already see and I already knew things were off. But somehow, because grief, they weren't so red. You know, I looked at them a little different. I disregarded that own vibe in my gut because maybe it was just my grief. I gave myself every reason to not want to believe that this wasn't a good thing because all I wanted was somebody there for me. So that's how things like this get started. So as we get ready, I'm going to play next clip, and then we'll actually talk into what these lyrics mean.
She feels the pull of a venomous charm wrapped in his arms. Is it love or alarm? But whispers grow louder, frustrations ignite the promise of comfort, revealing its bite.
Okay, so when I talk about his venomous charm, okay, when I say venomous charm, he had a charisma about him. He was my crush. He was hot. I thought he was absolutely gorgeous. That was just my perception. And when you ask questions, sometimes that they don't like narcissists don't like questions. Okay, they like to lead conversations. They don't like questions. And so when you ask questions, they know kind of how to bypass the answer or turn it into a question back on you. And you almost take it as, wow, it's more attention put back on me. So it's not a good reciprocation, but you're not able to see that at the time. So when I talked about his venomous charm, that's really what it was. He was showering me with all this good stuff, but at the same time, it was poisoning me and it was beginning to poison my mind. Okay, so that is what happens. So if you ever start wondering like how somebody can get stuck in an emotional abusive relationship, they don't choose to. They don't go into it saying like, hey, I think I'm just going to like get in this horrible relationship and let my life be ruined. It's a slow, steady stream of poison that you don't even know is being injected, basically. Okay. So, and again, I don't read every part of the chapter. I just pull out like little bits and pieces. Okay. So if you want to get the book, you can go to crownedbyfaithcollective.com. There's all kinds of links on there for all kinds of Crowned by Faith stuff that I got going on, but you can get your copy there. So here we go. Because we were classmates, it feels safe enough. He felt safe. All right. And so I've just lost my father. My divorce was finalized months ago. Now I'm in a parking lot caught between comfort I crave and red flags I can't unsee. So what happened was he invited me out and I did not want to go, but he told me about all of these old friends. All of that, there were more friends with my sister, but like I said, I was always the sidekick that was around. So when I was like, oh my gosh, there, she's there and she's there and he's there. Okay, I'll come out. So he actually knew how to get me to come out. It wasn't about him. It was all these other people that he knew I would probably be happy to see, since I was grieving my dad and my sister wasn't around. So again, pulling me there. And I learned some things that night by conversation going on that just, it was kind of too much. I learned that he was going through a divorce. So I thought, whoa, wait a minute, like not divorced, but going through a divorce. That right there should have just made me turn and walk away. But of course, I wanted to know more. I didn't understand. Again, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to be alone. Right? So I try to back away. We haven't, so I tried to back away. I did. I tried to be like, this is just too much. It's just not the right time. Like, you figure your shit out. And here's how it went down. We haven't crossed any lines. We were still just friends. Like, nothing was romantically happening between us. But something in my spirit knew it's time to pull back. I tell him I need space, that my plate is just full, and that until he's divorced, I can't keep this friendship going. I think I'm protecting myself. I don't realize I just lit a fuse. Okay? The switch flips. It's finally here. This is what happens. Something always triggers the flip, and they go from being so super amazing and charming and loving and everything until something flips. One night, while he's packing for another hunting trip, the texts turned dark. I'm sober, no wine, no beer, and already angry that we're even arguing this early in what isn't even a relationship. Like, we weren't even in a relationship, and yet we're arguing over text messages. And I'm thinking, like, what the heck is going on? Where's this even coming from? But then my phone starts going off, like ding, ding, ding. Each message landing before the last tone fades, paragraph after paragraph, like text messages that I'm thinking, how can you even be texting this fast? It was just mind-blowing, like all this shit just coming. Paragraph after paragraph. And then suddenly, he's going to kill himself. He says, I ruined him. First, years ago, when I told him no, and now again by trying to walk away. If I leave, he says, he'll take the gun he's cleaning and pull the trigger. Panic floods. I call a friend of mine in the military. He's the only one that I could think of to call. I'm like, I have somebody that says he's going to like kill himself, because I'm trying to just like say, like, we can't even continue this conversation anymore. And I don't know what to do. And I'm like panicking. I really was freaking out. And my friend says, he's not going to do it. My friend says, he's manipulating you. I don't know that then. All I feel is this crushing weight of responsibility for someone else's life. I can't risk being the reason a trigger's pulled. I cave. I talk him down and promise I won't leave him like that again. So that's hook one. That's early in the beginning. And someone from the outside might be like, girl, you're so stupid. Like, why would you even believe something like that? But when you're in this emotional state and arguing is going on and tensions are running high, and somebody is clearly not stable on the other end, you don't know if they're going to pull the trigger. And that was the start. that was the hook that made me feel like if I walk away, this guy's going to kill himself. And even saying that out loud today, I should have got help right then. I should have been like, somebody needs to help this guy. But I didn't, because I couldn't see it. All I knew was this was a dear friend of mine from long ago. He needs me. And if I walk away now, how will I live with myself if he hurts himself? That's how I felt. And the ugliness that started eating at my gut every day, because the fights didn't stop, but every time I walked away, the threats got louder and stronger. So when people say like, well, why didn't you just leave? Maybe I could have, but take on top of, I'm trying to raise two sons. I just lost my dad. I'm an emotional wreck myself. The last thing I want to do is like know that somebody killed themselves simply because I just couldn't be there as a friend. That's how I was looking at it. But little did I know the claws were set. That poison was flowing. And that was very early on, like early on. And that was the start of it all. So that trap is set. So we're going to listen to one more clip here.
Tender moments turn twisted and frail. A sweet nothings weave a sinister tale. Every message a soft spoken knife. I only want to save your life.
So that's obviously what those lyrics mean when it's talking about tender moments turn twisted and frail. You know, what I thought was just great conversation and friends, you know, he was checking on me, wanted to know how I was doing. It began to turn twisted, right? And as sweet nothings weave a sinister tale. What he was doing, and this is what they will do, they will actually intentionally gather information from you at your weakest. They will learn things about you that trigger the weakness so that it can be used against you later down the road. Because I was vulnerable and because I was weak, I shared things. I shared my fears. I shared things that had hurt me. I shared things about losing my dad. You know, I shared fears about being a single mom, you know, divorce. Like I shared a lot, and he welcomed the conversation, and then until it would turn dark. And then he would use some of those things against me. And it's just this like teeter-totter that you're high and then you're low and then you're confused and then you're good. Like it's so hard to describe, but we have to talk about it. We have to open up that conversation. So when the song says every message a soft spoken knife, it just dug deeper. There was more that was just going deeper, and at times it was mean and it would just twist. And then came the apology, and then came the gifts. And you know, I remember at one time I said, you know, I feel like when you show up with these gifts, it's almost like, because you don't beat me on the outside, I don't have bruises, but it's kind of like you beat me down. And then you come back giving me a gift saying that you're sorry. And the hard thing for people to understand is when it's emotional abuse, you don't have the bruises. You don't have the black eyes. You don't have those things that people can see on the outside. But if you could see what the inside looks like, it's a mess. It's a mess. And it's such a mess that you begin to hide. You know, if people had bruises and were beat up on the outside, they would want to hide. They would hide. They would put makeup. They would cover things on. When it's on the inside, you feel like everyone can see everything. you feel like you can't hide anything. And so instead of being put in that spot, you just don't want to go nowhere. You don't want to see anyone. And that's how the isolation begins. Not only can they prevent you from friends and family and doing things, but you also prevent yourself, because it's almost like you can be read. Like people can read you even though they can't, but it's so damaged on the inside that you feel like anybody would be blind to not be able to see it, no matter how much you try to cover it up. So when it was like spoken knife, and then of course the part, I only want to save your life, that's why I stayed from the very beginning. I only wanted to keep him from killing himself in the beginning. In the beginning, that's what made me stay, was I just didn't want him. I wanted to save his life. And it's pretty amazing to think that. So the trap is set. What follows are years of emotional abuse. He knows where to aim. He tells me my first husband already got the best of me, that no man will ever want me again, that he's basically noble to look past it, and only does so because he loves me and always has. So he pretty much made me feel humiliated about my body, about me sexually, any bit of sexiness or anything that I held of myself, he destroyed. He basically made me feel like I was ruined. Those before him got the best of me, that I'm lucky that he had loved me for like all the years before, because of that he was with me. But no man would want me. No man would want, the version that I was. He broke me down so easily in the most intimate way. And there are some things that I will never say out loud. Like there are some things I will never tell anyone that happened to degrade me. Because that's the word that I would use to him. You actually are degrading, like you're degrading me. And then it was my fault. I was seeing it differently. That's not what he was doing. He was basically doing me a favor because nobody would want me. And it was just this mind. I mean, I'm not going to say it, but basically like a mind fuck. Like my mind was just in turmoil. I hated myself. It's amazing at how quickly something like that can happen. You give yourself to someone so intimately and they turn it so ugly that you don't even want to look at yourself anymore. You don't even think anyone could ever see anything good in you. And that's layer 2. That's hook number 2. And so it comes in layers. It not all of it hits at once. There's no way that all the toxicity and the trauma and the emotional abuse comes at once. It doesn't. It's how we said, that venomous little drip. It's one hook, and then things are great. And then it's another hook, and then things are great. And it becomes this cycle that you almost become addicted to. And that might sound weird, but when you're in an emotional, abusive relationship, because you know the pattern, it becomes comfortable. That comfort of chaos and pain becomes more comfortable than the fear of leaving and not knowing how you're going to make it on your own. At least if you're going to have a fight, you're going to have the fight. You'll ignore each other for days. You'll get the silent treatment. And then you know what? Then you're going to make up, and it's going to be like magic and sparks and all hot and heavy, and it'll be great. And then it starts all over again. But at least you know the pattern. That's easier than going through all the steps to try to leave. Because chances are, if you're in that type of an emotional abusive relationship, your finances are a hot mess too. The finances have been destroyed. So you're probably not even in a position to leave and be on your own. It's a cycle. Okay. So, okay. So I'm trying to figure out like where I left at. So then he says, you do realize, or okay, when he tells me he's going to look past it because he loves me and he always has. Then he brings my sons in as a threat, but wrapped as comfort. You do realize your boys are going to grow up and leave to start lives of their own, and you will be left all alone. But I will never leave you. I love you too much to leave you. Those words fit the oldest scar I carry, the gravel road ache of not being worth staying for, and lock around it like a chain. So that's an example. If you guys have been with me on this journey, you know from chapter 1, The Dust Didn't Define Me, that song, my root of all my pain comes from that moment of abandonment on that gravel road, of being left, of feeling not worthy of love, of knowing that if my own dad won't stay, no man will stay. If my dad doesn't love me enough to stay, how could any other man love me? And so in the moments that we were talking about my dad, he had just died, he's texting me and getting into all this conversation. These were things I shared. Again, I had known him since I was like in kindergarten. So I thought I could trust him. So I'm sharing these most intimate fears of being left alone. And so now, instead of that first time when I'm leaving, he's going to kill himself, then it's turned into I'm basically ruined and no man would even ever want me. Then it's like, why would you ever leave? No man's going to ever want you. Your boys are going to grow and take off and have lives of their own, and you will be left all alone. That biggest fear of yours, it's going to happen if you leave me. Because no man will want you. You're already ruined. And you've got sons. They're going to grow and take on families of their own, and you will be left alone. But I will never leave you. And then it was always, remember, I wanted you back that many years ago, but you turned me down. Like all of this stuff would come back at me. And he's like, but I will never leave you. And it just repeated and repeated. So I do what I know. I pray, not for me, but for him. I pray for his healing, his joy, his peace. Some nights, all I can whisper is, Jesus, I trust in you. I ask God to help me understand him, forgive him, see him through God's eyes. I don't even have the strength to pray for my own rescue. I didn't even see myself worthy of asking God to help me. I asked God to help him. Because when you're beat down that badly and you think so little of yourself, you don't even feel worthy of God's love. I wasn't asking God to love me. I wasn't asking God to help me. I was asking God to please help him, change him. I thought if I do better, if I try harder, if I forgive more, if I love deeper, like if I do all these things, then maybe, just maybe, he'll turn around, that it would get better. So I prayed for him. Not once did I ask God to show me, am I in the right place? Am I making the right decision? Because to me, I made the decision to be in it, to get married, to commit once again. And that thought never crossed my mind to leave. It never crossed my mind. I didn't like where I was, but all I kept thinking was, if I do better, if I love harder, if I forgive more, like, we can turn him around. So it's a cycle that people need to understand, and it's not a good one. All right, let's listen to one more clip here.
Darkness, a whisper sounds. Hope ignites on haunted grounds. With every word, she starts to mend, but the line draws tight, like a noose with a bend.
So yes, very dark, guys. Okay, very dark. So he paints a beautiful picture. A house he'll build, a father he'll be to my boys, a life he'll save me from. He strings dreams together like glowing white lights, and I stay. He was my young crush. I tell myself his anger means he loves me, that we're only like this because we lost so many years. That if I had said yes on the hilltop, everything would be different. I had heard that so many times that I actually started believing it. I had heard that put back in my face, that if I had just gone out with him when he asked me at that party on the hilltop, that he would be different, that our lives would be different. And I started believing it. So I felt like I caused us to be what we were, that we would have been so good, but because of my choice, it had to be this way. Like, it's so crazy for me to say these things out loud right now, you guys, but it's truly where I was. It's truly what I believed. And here's the thing that I think we need to be kind with people that are in relationships that maybe you don't understand. Maybe you know it's not a good relationship. Maybe you know they're not being treated right. Be there. Be there and just be open, because you can't make someone think differently. You can't make somebody take action before they're ready. Like, you just can't. Even if you get them out of the situation, chances are they're going to go back until they're done, until they're ready, until they can see clearly. Because when they're in it, they aren't thinking clearly. And no matter what you say, no matter how hard you try, no matter, all the things, you could give them a room to stay in, you could do all of this. But until their mind starts getting the help that it needs to detach from that toxicity, you can't help them. But don't shut them out. Just give them space. Just let them know you're there. That helps more than anything. Okay? So here's the thing. But God doesn't build love on regret. Love rooted in what could have been never grows into what is. Real love isn't punishment. It's promise. I can't see it yet. I'm clinging to a story the enemy wants me to believe. I'm stuck. I'm to blame. This is the best I'll ever have. God is already whispering another story. Daughter, you are worth more than regret. I will give you a love that doesn't wound you, a future built on my promises, not pain. So there came a point where I was starting to get the whispers. Okay, God, I logically know this is not right. I logically know this is not healthy. and I needed to let God in those cracks, you know. I was so broken, I was so guarded, but God could still seep through those cracks, and I needed to start allowing him. Even though I would pray to him, remember, I was praying to him for my husband, not for myself. And I needed God to just seep his love in those cracks, if even just a tiny bit, because it's amazing at what God's love will do. And I was now at a place where I was starting to see the abuse. It was almost like I was starting to stand on the outside, and I could actually see what it looked like looking in. And I thought, my God, how did I get here? You know, I packed on 50 pounds. Just I was a stranger in my own skin, but I was now able to start seeing it from the outside, and that is scary, because it's almost like you're starting to wake up and come through this cloud or this fog, and now you're like, holy crap, like, what is going on? What has happened here? And you don't even know where to begin to get out of it. Like, you just don't. So we're going to go ahead and listen to one more here.
Clawing for breath as the walls close in. His love feels like fire where the shadows begin. Isolation settles, just echoes remain. Emotional siege, she can't bear the pain. Where are you going? His voice drips with dread, a puppet on strings, tied to the thread. The world fades away, just voices in her head. In this cage of confusion, she wishes she were dead.
And so, yes, in the heat of it, in the depth of it, I sometimes just wished that I just were not here. I didn't even know how to be a good mom. I didn't feel like I was a good sister. I mean, honestly, I never hardly talked to my sister. Um, it was just easier to just be away from everybody. I was always so close to my cousins, and I just stopped going out with them. I did nothing but just work and stay home. And there just came a point where you feel like no matter what you do, it's not right. You feel like anything that you say is wrong and or stupid. And there were just moments where it was just like, God, like, I won't be upset if you don't wake me up tomorrow. And that's a really dark place to be, when you can look in the mirror and kind of just hate yourself. And that's what emotional abuse will do to you. It kills you from the inside. That it would be easier if there were broken bones to reset and heal, or bandages that could, be placed over a wound, a cut that could heal. But when it's emotional and it's coming from the inside, that's a whole different ball game, because nothing can help you until you're ready. But when you're in that state, it's near impossible to get ready for it. So it's really hard. Okay. It's really hard. And if you've ever been in it, something in you, especially if you're a fighter, if you're a survivor, if you're a problem solver, something in you thinks that you are going to be able to turn it around, that you will make it better, that you're the one that will make things different. And when it doesn't happen, that's another level of failure that you carry. And so this isn't a conversation. Me and my sons have a joke where if you've ever seen SpongeBob and Mr. Krabs, where he's playing this violin with his like big claw, it's the like boohoo, oh so sad for you, like your pity party, get over it. So we do that with each other when we're like, all right, you're kind of in your zone, like get over it, pity party. And that's not what this is. I share these things because people don't understand the layer, the layers that are broken within you when you go through this type of emotional abuse. People wonder why you can't just snap your fingers and get out. People wonder, why do you stay or why do you keep going back? And it's more of a mind. It's like a mental injury. Okay? It's like a mental injury. And until you can get strong enough to actually see and think clearly, can you even begin to want to go through the pain? Because it's going to hurt to break the cord. It's going to hurt to lose that person that you've become emotionally dependent on. As crazy as that sounds, when the abuse is there, but it's consistent, it's a fight you sometimes crave because at least it's attention. And so when you know that you're going to have to break this, it's excruciating. It's an attachment unlike any other. It's a dependency. It's like two people broken that have come together to survive, but the only way they can survive is through destruction. But you both want to survive, so you choose the destruction. And you know that if you get mentally sound enough to know that, okay, this isn't healthy, where do I go? Where do I begin? Because chances are, if you've been together for years, you've been isolated so much that you are all that, or that person's all that you have. So in order to even get to the point to make that choice, you have to have a moment of clarity, but then you have to be willing to step into excruciating pain. And it's a pain that no one can help you through. No one can understand it. No one can fix it. People might say they understand. They don't understand. They didn't live it. They don't know what you went through. So give people just kindness and gentleness and space through it. And I guarantee you it's going to be a yo-yo for a while. They're going to go, they're going to come back. They're going to go, they're going to come back. Until sometimes God makes something happen that's no longer an option. And in my case, that's what he did. And that's in chapter 11. We can talk about that. But I know that I'm like repeating myself, but I'm just trying to emphasize that no one chooses to go into this type of relationship. It happens slowly. It happens one hook at a time. It's that slow, steady stream of poison that begins to sicken you from the inside. But it's like a drug. It's like an addiction. And in order to come clean of it, you're going to have to go through excruciating pain. You literally get addicted to the chaos and the drama, the fight. And so it's like a withdrawal. And it's a scary place to be. It's not just saying like, yep, he's treated me like shit, so I'm gonna walk away. And that's what people expect you to do. So more than not, you're the one that's being put down. You're the one that people give up on because they just think, why can't you just do it? Why can't you just walk away? Why can't you just break up? Why can't you just leave them? And so instead of trying to understand the complexity of healing that has to take place, people kind of give up on you. And so once again, you do feel like you're alone, or you do go back because nobody really understands. And so it is a vicious cycle, and one that we need to make more more comfortable talking about, without judgment, without pointing fingers, without blame, without shame. All right. So so dependence creeps in: physical, emotional, spiritual. Shame isolates me. He chips away at all that is good in me until I start to believe the ugly things he says. Worse, I wonder if I brought it on myself. Every time I consider leaving, his voice roars louder than mine. I knew you never loved me. You'll never stay. I lost everything because of you. You're selfish. You're a cold-hearted bitch. You're nothing without me. Those are things that I would hear all the time. And when you're called a cold-hearted bitch again and again and again, you start to believe it. And so then I tried extra hard to not be. I tried extra hard to be more serving, more submissive, more giving, like more soft, if you will. I don't know what other word to counter cold-hearted bitch, but when you're told these things and you're, said these things, it alters who you are as a person, because you start doing things that you wouldn't have otherwise done. Like, think about that. I know I'm not a cold-hearted bitch. But when I was called that so often, because I'm strong, because I want to use my voice every now and then, that makes me cold-hearted bitch. So to be called that and to think that, I started doing things to prove that I wasn't, that I never would have done as me, as a whole person. I did things that I never would have done to prove that I wasn't a cold-hearted bitch. And so, you find yourself doing things, reacting, saying things, like all kinds of stuff that is so out of true character, simply because somebody's coming at you with all this stuff that's not even true. But you begin to believe it because it's all you're told over and over and over again. So the endless words, constant attacks. Looking back, I know what to call it: narcissistic abuse, manipulation, control. Back then, I don't. I'm 8 years old again, trying to be enough, staying quiet, obeying, hoping one day I'll finally earn love. I thought that funeral text was a sign from heaven. It was truly a text from hell. But it's also where heaven started writing me a new story. So I had to share this dark part of it, because that's why I'm here today. That's why God has crowned me, crowned by faith, because of this time in my life. Had I not gone through this emotional abuse, I probably wouldn't have worked so hard on myself to go to the root of where my pain began, and that is that 8-year-old little girl. Had I not gone through this, would I have questioned, how did I get here? And would I have looked back far enough to actually understand what my whole life has meant? So that's the gift in it. That's the part that I say our pain is precious. Our pain holds so much power for us to be able to do something so purposeful with our life, but we have to be able to embrace it, honor it, respect it, look at it differently. And many times we don't do that. So I could hide in this shame. I could continue to beat myself up. I could continue to be mad at myself for all of these years that I stayed in this ugliness of the damage that it brought my children. Like I could do that. But instead, I totally surrendered and gave it to God to say, what am I to do with this? I know this pain, this whole experience can't be for nothing. I know I didn't deserve it, so it's got to be for something. You have to have chosen me to be able to turn it around and do something good with it. And that's why we do things like this. That's why I'm here to talk about it. Not because I'm any different than you or you're any different than someone else, but because he's given me the voice and the gift to look at the pain and say, let's use it. And let's forgive ourselves. And let's try to understand, how did we get there? So that we can forgive that person. Maybe there's an 8-year-old little girl in you that got in a situation like that, but maybe you're still beating yourself up about it. It's time to not. It's time to forgive her. And it's time to take that pain and actually say, thank you, God, for this pain. Now what do I do with it? How do I turn this into something good? Because that's when everything changes in your life. So we're going to listen to one more clip here, and then we'll start to wrap it up.
Fingers tremble as she types with despair. Is this what they call love, entangled in snare? Each word feels like shackles dragging her low. What once was salvation now shadows aglow. But the darkness grows thicker, fed by her tears. What felt like a savior anchors her fear.
Okay. So like with every chapter, as we begin to wrap up, we're going to talk about this through the lens of God's love. Because I'll tell you what, as difficult as this book was for me to write, as hard as going through this whole journey of experiences, it was very difficult. But the beauty was when God allowed me to see things through the lens of his love. And it has transformed me. I know it has. I was even on a podcast interview with Tish last night, and talking about things that I've talked about in the past, but even she could feel the difference. She can feel the way God is present differently. And it's because this project, whatever he did with me through this, has been a beautiful experience. It was very hard to go through, but it's here to serve someone. If at least one person sees themselves in this, or understands a little bit better, or feels seen and accepted, or lets go of shame and brings on forgiveness. Like if something happens for one person, it has been so worth it. So through the lens of God's love, this is just what he has been able to give me. Through the lens of God's love, I see what I couldn't then. God never abandons me, even in the darkest place. His love isn't absent in years of manipulation. It's waiting, whispering, protecting in ways I don't yet have words for. Back then, I called staying survival and silence sacrifice. But true love doesn't ask you to shrink to fit someone else's brokenness. Love doesn't bruise, belittle, or bind. God's love is freedom. Looking back, I see his fingerprints everywhere. In moments I could have lost myself, he preserved me. In lies I believed, his truth was already waiting. Even in the text from hell, He was preparing me for the day I would rise, healed, whole, and ready to tell the truth. If you've confused pain for love, you're not alone and you're not beyond his reach. The God who carried me through will carry you too. And one of the pieces of the crown truth in here also is that not every connection is divine. That one was a hard one for me because I always think God is like in everything, and I always try to find the gift and the blessing, but sometimes evil is behind it. So not every connection is divine, even if it shows up when you're vulnerable. Evil disguises itself as comfort, but manipulation will never be love. Not every open door is from God. Discernment is protection. When love is twisted into control, God equips us to eventually see through deception and reclaim the truth of our worth. And so hold on to that. If you're in a dark place right now, if your heart is hurting right now, just hold on to that. Hold on to that piece. So guys, how we do this is I end with the prayer. Every chapter has a prayer in it. And then I close out by playing the full song. So whether you stay and listen to it or you sign off, but I just want to thank you for sharing your time with me tonight. We covered some ugly stuff. We talked about some hard stuff. If any of you have any questions, or maybe you want to share something privately, you didn't want to put it here for everyone to see, feel free to send me a message privately. That's fine. But you're not alone. And it's okay to talk about. You have nothing to hide. There is no shame. Whether you got into a relationship that didn't turn out to be so good, you're a human being. And God still loves you. And we're here for you. So here we go. And we will be back next Tuesday night for the next chapter. Next chapter is loss upon loss. Now, next week, the song is fun. It's going to want to make you grab a beer and like do a cheers with everybody, but that's next Tuesday. So, dear God, thank you for staying with me when I couldn't tell the difference between love and control. Thank you for protecting me through confusion and reminding me that my worth isn't defined by anyone else's opinion. You see the hidden scars and the weight of words that bruise deeper than fists. For every heart that has mistaken abuse for love, I pray freedom. For every soul that feels trapped, I pray release. Wrap them in your truth and silence the lies that kept them bound. Remind them they are chosen, worthy, and never beyond your rescue. Break the chains of false love. Heal wounds spoken in anger. Trade fear for faith and shame for grace. Their story isn't over, and their crown is secure in you. In Jesus' name, amen. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. I appreciate the love and support. This is a very tough topic for me as well, but we're better today for it. So let's close it out. Here's the full song.
In shadows deep, she sits alone, a graveyard hush where silence grows. Her father's voice, a whispering breeze. She clings to memories, trying to ease a young girl's wish. A flame long burned, but as the casket closed, her heart churned. A text arrives like a light through the gloom. I'm here for you, let love resume. In the darkness, a whisper sounds. Hope ignites on haunted grounds. With every word, she starts to mend, but the line draws tight, like a noose with a bend. Tender moments turn twisted and frail. As sweet nothings weave a sinister tale. Every message a soft-spoken knife. I only want to save your life. She feels the pull of a venomous charm, wrapped in his arms. Is it love or alarm? But whispers grow louder, frustrations ignite. The promise of comfort revealing its bite. In the darkness, a whisper sounds. Hope ignites on haunted grounds. With every word, she starts to mend, but the line draws tight, like a noose with a bend. Clawing for breath as the walls close in. His love feels like fire where the shadows begin. Isolation settles, just echoes remain. Emotional siege, she can't bear the pain. Where are you going? His voice drips with dread, a puppet on strings, tied to the thread. The world fades away, just voices in her head. In this cage of confusion, she wishes she were dead. Fingers tremble as she types with despair. Is this what they call love, entangled in snare? Each word feels like shackles dragging her low. What once was salvation now shadows aglow. But the darkness grows thicker, fed by her tears. What felt like a savior anchors her fears. In the darkness, a whisper sounds. Hope ignites on haunted grounds. With every word, she starts to mend, but the line draws tight, like a noose with a bend. A message from hell disguised as a gift. What shimmered like stars is an ego adrift. Turn love into poison, cloaked in the sweet. She finally sees it's a hellbound deceit. as she stands in the ashes, reclaiming her soul. A text from hell stole the pieces, but she'll take control.